What is up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys live with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Retrospective. And as you guys can see, not only with the title, but the card in front of you, it's time to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship Tournament 2004, or as I like to call it, Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2004. This is the first of the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship video games that definitely sparked a lot of things in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. It's funny enough to talk about this game because this game itself does not play like its predecessors, the other World Championship games, and definitely plays different than its original, than its well, it's the successor of many of the other classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Video games. I think the most that I've seen in terms of Yu-Gi-Oh! Video games being played are Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, because of the 15 card mod. Uh, Tons of people speed running it, mainly Danny Enigma, because he speed runs the hell out of Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories. And he's really, really, really good at it. I've watched tons of his speed runs. So if you haven't seen Danny Enigma's speed runs for Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, please do, because he's a really awesome guy, and I do love watching his content. And he is a really cool dude, so do go follow him. And I think Some Call Me Johnny has also done it in his playlist for the 15 card mod playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories is up. But we're not here to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories. We're here to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship Tournament 2004, which is actually funny enough that I mentioned Some Call Me Johnny because he actually loves this game. This is one of his favorite games because he loves the music in this game, and I adore the music of this game. And if you guys haven't, please go listen to the soundtrack for this game because this game is awesome. It has a great soundtrack. It has basically all your favorite DM characters. It has a wider range of card pool, which is crazy because it has one of the most shortest card pools for what year it came out in. And it definitely it has a lot of controversy to it as well because years ago, while there was a lot of stuff being leaked and passed around from Nintendo, some Yu-Gi-Oh stuff was actually talked about. It wasn't leaked or anything. It wasn't like in the big leak for Nintendo a few years ago. But people who were doing their research on the Yu-Gi-Oh video games actually started talking about this video game and some of the nuances and some of the things that were actually taken out, which I was very shocked about because I normally don't dabble too much in like the major history lessons of Yu-Gi-Oh, but as of recent, because I've been watching a lot of videos on it, I have now been able to, hear and listen to a lot of the older videos, or videos talking about the games. And I really would love for Did You Know Gaming to do a video segment on the Yu-Gi-Oh video games, especially the ones for the Game Boy Advance, because I've heard multiple stories about why this game was rushed out so early. This game was released in Japan, February 5th of 2004. It had a later release for the TCG in North America, February 10th of 2004. So only like a 5-day gap between them. And then if you're in the EU or Oceanic, you didn't receive this game until March of 2004. So what's up with the weird, release dates? Well, according to some of the sources that I've heard, now these aren't credible. That's why I'm not gonna mention them in like the links and stuff. But from what I've heard and what I've seen, this game was rushed. And I thought it was rushed like, oh, it's coming out like at the end of the year situation. No, this is very early in the year. So it missed a massive wave of cards released in 2004, for the TCG. And here's the thing about the video games that I don't know if I talked about it in the Eternal Duel of Soul video, but here in this video I'll talk about it. If you ever played any of the Yu-Gi-Oh video games that were on the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advance, or the Game Boy or Nintendo DS, all of those games come out right in a sequence before a major wave of cards come out later on in the year. So they always have a time period in which they'll release a set of cards, then they'll stop, and then work on the next video game after that. This is definitely apparent if you've ever played the World Championship games on the DS, because they always start right before the late summer early fall set that comes out. So like whenever that comes out in July, August or September, uh, that's when you'll see the video game stop at that point. Many of them will not have the TCG exclusives from those packs that are in those games. You'll have to actually wait till the next game for the TCG exclusives because they're going to be ported to the OCG. This is something that's always happened in the physical card game. That certain cards will not be released in the TCG or OCG till years later because of either them being TCG exclusives or them being OCG cards that need to be imported and have a weird import. Mind you, to let you know, there are a large array of normal monsters that have not been released in the TCG because of these situations. There's also word on the street that Nintendo forced them to release this game early so that they can have a Yu-Gi-Oh video game because it's strange because in this time period, Yu-Gi-Oh Sacred Cards is also supposed to be released in this same time frame because the assets of Yu-Gi-Oh Sacred Cards and the assets for Yu-Gi-Oh! The Seven Trials of Glory, the World Championship 2005 game, share almost the exact same sprites or just updated versions of those sprites. And even more so, a lot of the character models and stuff seem to be replicas of what the Sacred Cards video game. Like if you took like images of Kaiba, Mai, Yugi, and you stood them side by side, some of those images look almost the same. So it's apparent that those games were probably in development at the same time, or they took the images from them. Now, let's get into a history lesson of this game, and I'm going to shorten it because I know there's a lot to talk about. But this game has over 1,135 cards. This selection is matched between its monsters, its traps, its spells, of course, fusion monsters, ritual monsters, and stuff like that, and the abundance of normal monsters. Did you know there's over 500 normal monsters alone in this game, and a good about what half of them still have not been released in the TCG. Also, to note, this is the first game that had a major wave of requirements to proceed within its video game. This game has at least 6 tiers of duelists, with a total of 28 duelists overall. The reason for this is because they took every duelist from the previous video games, Yu-Gi-Oh! The Eternal Duelist Soul, Yu-Gi-Oh! Worldwide Edition, Stairway to the Destined Duel, and comprised the 28 duelists that they were going to use. I think this is supposed to be in resonance to the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship, in which there's only a selective amount of duelists that can participate in the World Championship. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think the inclusion of North America for the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship games, I believe, started here, if anything, because most of the World Championship games, there are World Championships for Yu-Gi-Oh! Since Yu-Gi-Oh! Started in the TCG, they did have a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championships. Otherwise, there were just big tournaments in Japan for Yu-Gi-Oh! To claim their victor. But I think once the game became international, that's when we started to see the World Championships appear. Funny enough, I do remember around the time this game was released, there was a regional event for Yu-Gi-Oh! In my hometown of Oakland that happened literally over 20 years ago. Funny enough, at the time of this recording, there was a Yu-Gi-Oh! Regionals back in September of 2024 where it took place in Oakland, California. I know, it's crazy, isn't it? So, in terms of the duelists that are mentioned in this game, so tier 1 are Yugi in his non-dark form, as well as Bakura, Tristan Taylor, Taya Gardner, and Yugi's grandfather, Mr. Moto. But they call him Truesdale still in this game. Then, for the tier 2 duelist, this is a combination of both the Duelist Kingdom and the Battle City opponents. So, Rex Raptor, Weevil Underwood, Mako Tsunami, Bones, and Esperoba. For the tier 3 duelists, these are the Duelist Kingdom finals. We have Bandit Keith, Joey Wheeler, Miss Valentine, of course, and Maximilian Pegasus. Then we go into the ghouls, aka the rare hunters as we know them here in America. And that consists of um, Seeker, who is known as Rare Hunter, then Loomis and Umbra, Arcana, Strings, and Odeon. Joining them is a randomizer, which has the picture of the ghouls in their cloak. Um, and then, funny enough, this was taken out after you've gotten all the ghouls and defeated, of course, their leader, Merrick Ishtar, who starts off tier 5. It's Merrick, Ishizu, Seto Kaiba, and Shadi. Then for the tier 6 duelists, we have Yami Yugi, Yami Merrick, Yami Bakura, Simon, and Kaiba's dual computer all returning to the game. So that is your alignment of the duelists that are in it. So here's the crazy thing, and I'll pay a mention to this because some people are going to ask, how do you unlock a lot of these duelists? Normally, you just play through the game, you defeat duelists a number of times, open a number of packs. However, if you want to get from tier 3, to tier 3, you have to basically beat all of the tier 2 duelists at least 10 times. In the process of this, you need to open a lot more packs. And then when you do such, you have to get particular cards into your trunk and keep them there outside of your deck in order to duel the tier 3 duelist. And this goes, and the best example I can give you is for My Valentine. So you have to be all the tier 2 duelists. Then get Harpie's Feather Duster, which is in the Blue Ice Dragon pack. And from there, you have to keep it in your trunk in order to duel her. So you can use it for the duels, but if you notice she's not there, you have to take Harpie's Feather Duster out of your deck and put it in the trunk, and then be able to duel her. And this goes for like getting specific cards for like Joey, who needs Jinzo and Red Eyes. You need Toon Blue Eyes White Dragon and Toon World for Pegasus. And Bandit Keith, you need Barrel Dragon in your trunk. You can look these up on the wiki, which will tell you how to get them, or on GameFAQs as well. But yeah, this is how a lot of us were getting a lot of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Video games. Hold on 1 second, because I need to pour some water. So, you'll hear that, like, no, actually, you won't hear that. Hold on, let me close it. Okay, guys, sorry, I am back. So, like I said, the sole thing with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Unlocks didn't just stop at the cards. At the, duelists. It also having to do with the packs as well. In order to get certain packs, you have to also beat certain duelists, meeting the criteria of beating them, not 5 or 10 times, but beating them 20 times, or even beating selective duelists in a row to get things. It's a very crazy unlock situation with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Video game. I'm not gonna lie. But it all pans out at the end when you have all 28 duelists. You have all the cards in the game. Because once you do, you can do what's called limit restrictions, limit sets. Because this is the last video game, I should mention this earlier, but this is the last video game that does not have, that it has the limited list. I'm not going to read the limited list because it's a lot of cards, but you can look it up on the wiki, you can look it up on GameFAQs and stuff. Yeah, people still use GameFAQs. And the whole ordeal of this game was that it stripped itself of what its predecessors used to have. Remember in older video games, they had the card feature where you can, put the code of the card from the bottom left corner into the game, and presto, you have the deck in, you have the card in the game. Well, they decided to take that out in Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2004. For what reason, I don't know, ask Konami, but for what I heard, the major reason for taking it out was simply because they wanted players to, play the game. They wanted players to grind out like they would normally. It's very funny, though, because as someone who's, going to go into my personal experience with this game, I kind of honestly didn't like it. I also didn't like the fact that they cut a lot of cards from the previous game as well, because this game came out right after Yu-Gi-Oh! Worldwide Edition. And it's funny to say that because there were tons and tons of cards that were cut out from that game. I think it was a major drop in cards than its predecessor. And then its successor, Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2004, I mean 5, and hell, even Sacred Cards had more cards than this game, rounding out to over 1,200 cards um, within those games. Yes, it does include all the shanky normal monsters, the random spells and traps that were used in the anime, but even still, like, that trumped the amount of cards that was in this game. It's crazy. And yeah, there was a lot of, like I said, there was a lot of things cut out. Mokuba was not included in this game as an opponent. There isn't a day system, which was cut out. They just randomly have you battle your opponents through and through. And then the one duel, I guess, is counted as like the one day. But it's a 28 pool of opponents. There's a randomizer you can play to randomize which opponents you play against, because the other games didn't have that. There is no world board, so you don't travel around to battle different duelists. That was actually brought back in its successor, Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2005. And the overall stint of the game itself was basically play the game without these restrictions and play the game with these restrictions. But once you beat the game and you have all of the 100% of the log, you're able to then go into your options menu and select limit selection, where you can unlimit cards in the game. Like, you can unlimit Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, Raigeki, all of that. And just like many of your opponents in the later tiers, especially tier 5 and tier 6, especially tier 6, you can have multiple copies of cards that were limited in the game. Because yes, tier 6 is full of your opponents who have limited cards in the game. They're using multiple Raigekis, they're using multiple Dark Holes, Harpie Feather Dusters, and stuff like that. Especially Yamiyuki. If you look at his deck list, it's like, oh my god. I remember when I streamed this game, I was reading through the deck list of these guys. So the AIs in this game are very weird as well. Some of them will tribute monsters who have already been tributed with better stats. Like, Yugi will tribute Summon Skull for a Morphin. Yeah, your boy Morphin. Yeah, he's in the game. And he would be tribute over, like, Yugi Summon Skull. Or Summon Skull will be tributed. Like, it's a weird system. I guess it's, like, in case of certain cards, if the AI feels like certain cards are going to be appearing, they'll, like, swap out the weaker monster. But they'll always have, like, Monster Reborn or Premature Burial waiting in the wing, just to make up for that. I know, right? AIs. But it's weird. Even the decks themselves are built weird. So, what is my experience with this game? Because we're going to get into that portion of it. When I first saw this game, my brother and my cousin brought it to our house. My cousin was, taking his allowance, and he was buying games with it, him and my brother, because they would do little jobs for my uncle and my aunt. And this is how we got to see a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Games. I eventually purchased my own copy of Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2004. I still have my physical copy, but I do play my emulator version of it as well. I even emulated it on my live stream, and for the most part, like I said in my live stream, this is still one of my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Video games of all time, because it has the lineup of characters. While the card pool is shed in areas, I still enjoyed the creativity. This is the first game that introduced the multiple decks that you can play. So you have one of 3 decks. You can select between them. You can even, during the menu screen, or the select screen, you can switch between the decks as well. It has the oh my god, the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack. It's so good. And I actually, funny enough, about a year ago, a couple of months ago, ORC Remixes, they did a remix. I mean, OC Remixes. There we go. OC Remixes. They did a remix of the Tier 3 theme. The theme that you'll hear when you're battling not Yugi, when you're battling Bandit Keith, My Valentine, Joey Wheeler, and Maximilian Pegasus. So the Tier 3 theme, they actually recomposed. And it's really, really good. It's a really, really good composition. And that's because it's, of course, my queen. She's in the game. Duh. And yes, I did build a variation of Harpies for that World Championship game. I think for every video game I've ever played, I had a variation of Harpies. It's funny enough, even Dungeon Ice Monsters, which I'll do a video on, I did a variation of a Harpie build for that as well. It's pretty crazy too, because it's like Harpie Lady Sisters, it's Harpie Lady, um, it's a couple other monsters that fits into it as well. It's very beast oriented in that circuit as well. So, hell yeah, and it's a lot that definitely goes into playing this World Championship game, because you're really on the grind. I do remember seeing a lot of builds on like the FAQs to basically form a deck that you can use to run through the deck. Like once you get towards the end, there's a deck that you can create to deck your opponent out. There's a mill deck composing of cards to help you mill your opponent, both in hand and field, if you like wanted to copy it. Because that's actually, funny enough, one of the guys who was doing some stuff on it, he actually mentioned that he built one of these decks and actually used it to help him complete the game. To complete, to see what cards were in the game and stuff. So it's a lot of stuff that goes into it. And for the most part, it's a really fun game. It's a fun sit down. I did stream it. You can see it on my Archive and Play channel where I've streamed the game. It was very, very, very fun. I had a lot of time playing this game, and definitely a lot of nostalgia, because it's one of the games that I definitely went back into. And even in the DS era, this was a game that I played as well. I honestly, I'll say this, like, I love the improvements of the DS that it had over the Game Boy Advance. Like, the DS is basically just Game Boy Advance 2.0. I don't count Game Boy Micro because I have an issue with the Game Boy Micro as the Game Boy Advance Micro, because while it was cute, it wasn't that cute. And I remember they even said they got rid of some of the face buttons as well, because a friend of mine had it in high school. He was like, he showed me, and I was like, that's the Game Boy Micro? He was like, yeah. I was like, okay. He was like, but the only redeeming feature of it was that they put back in the headphone jack, which the DS and all future consoles did. Future handhelds and even to the Switch have done. So, yay. Any highlights that I have of this game, it's primarily just because I love this game tremendously. I'm putting on my deodorant. And, I love the array of things that came on. Like this, like I said, it's one of my favorite games. It's one of my favorite games for the Yu-Gi-Oh series. And I do highly recommend it. I do think a lot of people should play it. And once the early day collection comes out, I definitely think people should take a swing at it. I do believe, because I just posted my update for the early days collection, because Konami just updated, had an updated trailer. You can just go ahead and unlock everything for the game. So you can unlock all the opponents, you can unlock all of the cards and stuff. So definitely have a world of a time. I want to know if they're going to have this in Time Wizard format. So they're going to have people be able to, have, like how they do with Master Duel, or they're going to have sections for Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship video games. Are they going to have like video game tournaments? Because you can connect the games. So I definitely want to see that. If people are going to do that, because it's going to be fun. That's definitely going to be fun, especially for like 2-player modes and stuff. But yeah, I'm very excited about this game. I love this game. I put a lot of time and effort into it. I've unlocked everything in the game. And yeah, it's still one of my favorites. Honestly, it's truly 100% still one of my favorite games. So if you ever get the chance to play this game, especially with the Switch and Steam ports coming out, definitely try it. So, with that in tow, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up my retrospective video for Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2004. Thank you guys so much for watching these retrospectives. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, as that helps tremendously. You can hit the notification bell to be informed of when I upload content to my channel, and my social media links are in the description box below. I will catch you guys next time for another wave of videos, and with that said, HPJ signing out. Take care.